Link graphics stream. Yeah, edit button. Android unlabeled.
Cool. Awesome sauce. Hello, everyone. This is Awesome Sauce Radio. I'm your host, Blind Adam, the comic pimp. I thank you all for joining this special episode of Awesome Sauce Radio. Before we get started and we bring in my co-host and my guest, I'd like to thank a few of my sponsors. I'd like to thank the Big Apple Comic Con. Big Apple Comic Con will be returning to the New Yorker Hotel on December 16th for the Christmas show. So exhibitors, reserve your space now, and I'll have more information as it comes. It looks like December 16th from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. for the Big Apple Christmas Con. www.bigapplecc.com. Tell them Bud Adam sent you. Also, I'd like to give a big shout out to Comics Exposure. Comics Exposure is one of the leading vendors of variant comics, as well as other comics. They have some cool variants coming out, including a Melinda Comics Raven bathtub variant, which is awesome. Check them out. Tell them Bud Adam sent you. www.comicsexposure.com. Also, want to give a shout out to Boston and a special shout out to Comic Tom and Golden Age Guru. I hope you guys are doing well. Now, with all that being said, I'd like to bring in my co-host. We know him, we love him. He's probably going to be on his best behavior tonight, which is amazing. The proprietor of Calamity Collectibles, Mark. What's up?
What's up, guys?
How you doing? How's your day been going?
It's been going good. Just hustling, selling the comic books, picking up stuff, because who needs money?
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, enough of flapping our gums alone. This is someone who I've wanted to get on the show for quite some time. Really big fan of his music. And was rocking out to a Lex Luthor song, which I just discovered today. Comic Pops, how are you?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. That's Suprema Lex, by the way. That song about Lex Luthor / Superman from the Versus Evil album. I wasn't in that album, but I did play the live version of it. We were guests of honor at WindyCon in Chicago, 2017, I think, and was shortly after the release of Versus Evil, maybe a year after. And we were guests of honor, and they invited me to play drums with them. And actually, if you find that album, it's on Spotify. And that album, we play a song called Tommy, which is about a conversation my friend Adam had with my son Tommy when Tommy was 6 years old, about Power Rangers and all of this stuff. And this whole song is just this conversation that the two of them had.
Oh, wow. I'm going to have to go back and listen. I know the song.
Yeah. That Tommy.
I am a huge okay, the Mark. I have been ever since I discovered Arthur Curry.
Oh, Arthur Curry, yeah.
And
That's
then
me
I
on the
discovered
drum.
the song, my favorite song of all time, which is from you guys, which is Viewmaster.
Thank you.
Just because you guys were able to get on like every 70s cartoon and every toy you could imagine in the song.
Yeah, we do that. I wish I could take I could say I had something to do with the writing, but it was my friends Adam and Rand. They do all the writing of the lyrics, and they would put a song together, and then they would hand it to me. And me and Adam, he was my roommate, we would hash it out and we would arrange it. And but we're all super huge geeks. And nobody was doing what we were doing other than, I don't know, like They Might Be Giants, stuff like that, which is a huge influence for us. And but yeah, it was fun. I left the band in 2000 when I moved to the West Coast. But I still, when they go out of town, if they come to the West Coast to play or they have big concerts, they just call me up and I play drums for them. But yeah, awesome. Tommy's on that album, on that song, Tommy.
I'll definitely have to check it out. If anyone doesn't know, this is Comic Tom's dad. Just for record, Just
All day.
so anyone, just so I can now get some of that Comic Tom hate mail that everyone else gets.
You can't pay attention to that.
Yeah. Send it all to Fire Guy Ryan.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So,
So yeah.
how did you get into comics?
So I was actually. It's funny. I grew up in Puerto Rico, and we were very, very poor. I had zero chance of ever collecting comic books or anything like that. So all my exposure to comic book geekdom was through movies, cartoons, and things like that. Until I was 20 or 21, after Tommy was born. Maybe I can't remember, but it was a long time ago. I was way too late to it. So I was already in my 20s when I started reading, and I hadn't read anything, even though I was a huge fan of everything, Batman, Superman, all that stuff, but never actually read a comic book. And my both of those friends, they couldn't believe that I never read a comic book. And they handed me, which absolutely ruined me, by the way. They handed me Dark Knight Returns, V for Vendetta, Watchmen, Preludes and Nocturnes, the first graphic novel. I think Dangerous Habits, that Garth Ennis Hellblazer run, and a stack of Frank Miller Daredevil and a stack of Frank Miller Avengers. And they just handed me this stack of stuff, and there you go, read that. And I read that like in a very short amount of time, and from that second I was gone. Everything was revolving around comic books. It was like I tried to make up for it, the fact that I spent most of my life without comic books. So I went nuts. But now it made it really hard for me to get into any Silver Age book, to actually read it. It's just like I can't, because I didn't grow up. What I found.
Yeah, I guess they just dropped you right into the deep end of the pool.
Correct. And they literally gave me the books that changed comic books. So it's like, here's the new and improved thing. Why would you go back to the not improved thing? You know what I mean? So, and I'm reading Sandman, which is such a very eloquent type of writing, and it's just a whole different thing. And so in that way, it screwed me. I can't read old ASM or anything like that. I can't do it. I mean, I can. I make myself do it, but it's not my favorite.
That's true. Like I said, Sandman is amazing. The audiobook, I think, is amazing. The Preludes and Nocturnes is also in Braille, so try reading.
Oh, really?
Yeah, actually, the first two, I learned how to read Braille by American Gods and Preludes and Nocturnes.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
the good stuff.
The only reason I know how to read grade 2 Braille is because of Neil Gaiman's work.
Oh, wow. That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
So it took me a year to read American Gods that way, and it took me almost 2 years to read Preludes and Nocturnes with my fingers.
Wow. So you're a huge audiobook type of person?
Yeah. I am the world's only blind comic book dealer in the world, but I still love the art form. So graphic audio is like my best friend.
Sure. Yeah,
motion
I can see
comics. In fact, you guys, I wish Tommy would do more of them when you guys were doing the issue breakdowns over there.
Right. Yeah, we always try different stuff. That's one thing that I appreciate about Tom, that he's never married to any one thing. He'll drop it and do something else if he needs to. He's very driven that way, and he just tries to find stuff. And for whatever reason, maybe that didn't get traction or something. I don't know the specifics of it. I'm totally speculating. I'm assuming that he probably tried it and just for whatever reason didn't get traction.
I thanked him profusely because I was able to finally enjoy a full breakdown of everything in the Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember that. That went on for a
I was
while.
just, okay, I didn't want to say thank you. It just reminds me of when I was able to see and I was able to reprint. Thank you for everything you do. And I showed my episodes before I, without Comic Tom, aka Tom Kazia. I know I just butchered that, and I apologize.
It's okay.
He said, hey, he gave me a whole. He was really generous and just said, hey, why don't you try fixing this audio and use this mic, and gave me a lot of pointers in my early podcasting career.
Yeah, that's how he is, man. That's how he is.
So you used to own a shop?
No, I didn't. Back in '96, a friend of mine who owned a comic book store, he was a big fan of Ookla, Ookla the Mock, and we were at we were doing a show, and he was telling me that the person that was working for him was leaving, and they were switching stores. They were going to this new building, and the building had an apartment behind the comic book store. He's like, you want to work, you can work at the comic book store, and I'll rent you the apartment. I was in that time that I was looking for an apartment, and that's where we lived there for a few years, behind the comic book store. So if you open the back door to the comic book store, you would step into my kitchen. So that was for years. That was our life. Tommy was like the kid of the comic book store. Everybody loved him. He would walk in, it would be like Norm at Cheers, like, Tommy, hey! Everybody's giving him stuff. And we had, I don't know if you know anything about Magic the Gathering, but
Yep.
at one point, a friend of ours gave him a stack of cards, maybe like 2 inches thick. And he's like, here you go, Luis. This is for Tommy. And I'm like, okay. And they're all common and uncommon beta Magic the Gathering cards.
Ooh.
And I had a big fat stack, and I put them away, and I moved so much they got lost, and I don't know what happened to them. Yeah. But that's the kind of thing we did. We would do D&D in the back room that actually goes into my kitchen. We would lock the door and at whatever 9 o'clock at night and close the door, and there'll be 12 guys in the comic book store, and we would stay there till 3 o'clock in the morning playing D&D, and I would buy like chips and soda and stuff that I would leave in my house, and I sell it to them as we're playing Dungeons and Dragons. Always trying to find.
That's really nice and
the
convenient
hustle.
that your kitchen is like right the next door over.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a great time. We did, however, my friend who owned the comic book store, once I left Buffalo, I contacted him, and he had told me that he had locked the door one day months before and never went back to the store. He's like, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to do any more comic books. And he left it. And he's like, do you want it? Because at the time, he knew how much I loved the comic book store and working there. I had a passion for it. I loved it. I took pride in what I was doing there. And he's like, there were 2 locations of that store, and he wanted me to take over the other one. And it never worked out for whatever reason. And so he knew that I wanted to do that. He's like, hey, I have all the store. Do you want it? I'll sell it to you. So we did. Thanks to my wife, we were able to come up with the funds to buy the store. We flew to Buffalo from San Jose, and we put the stuff in shipping pallets and shipped it to California. I mean, I'm talking about feet of, I don't know. I had stacks that were maybe about 6.5 feet tall of 5,000 count cards of just Magic the Gathering, multiple stacks. All just, I wish I still had it now. And boxes, just brand new boxes of Magic the Gathering, hundreds of long boxes of comic books. And I had ties, t-shirts, dies, anything, just walk in a comic book store. And that's set in my garage for years. And I got into eBay in 2001, and I started selling I started with the Magic because I knew that pretty well at the time. So I started selling that little by little. And by the time we moved to Washington, I think most of the Magic was gone. And then I got to where I had to make a decision what to do with the comic books. And Tommy and I moved those comic books, again, hundreds of boxes of comic books. We had to move them every few months. My wife is like, okay, we got to do something in that room. I need all those comics out of there. Could you go put them over there on this other side of the house? And we're like, okay. We did that 7-8 times until I was like, I don't want to move those on them anymore. And I realized that this is 2005, 2004, 2005. I heard about Emerald City Comic Con. It was at a different older place, at another place at the time. And I bought a
pre-read pop.
Say that again?
Yeah, so this is like the pre-read pop days
Yes.
then, before read pop bought Animal Con?
Yes, it was more of a comic book convention at the time. And I decided to just bring as many comic books as I could. I think I had a pickup truck, filled it up, and sold. I never looked at anything. Put a 50-cent price tag, not a price tag, just put 50-cent labels everywhere. Anything you find in there's 50 cents. The night the convention started on Thursday, so it was Wednesday night. That Wednesday night, we made so much money from dealers just going through our stuff before the con opened. They're just grabbing whole boxes. So I'm like,
I was gonna say, were the other vendors in the room that night?
Oh yeah,
vultures at your booth.
Oh, it was like vultures. Like all these guys showed up on my booth and they're buying everything. I made a ton of money except one guy, and I want to give him a shout out because he's a dear friend of mine. His name is John Hill from Hills of Comics. He was the only dealer that just stood there and talked to me. And I think I sold him a box of Ice Age because he was huge into Magic the Gathering, and he paid like full price for it. He's like, I'll buy that box of Ice Age, blah blah blah. And he's like, finally, like somebody took out early Uncanny X-Men stacks of it. It's like $1,000, probably $1,000 worth of comic books, and this dude just paid $25 for it. And he's like, Luis, you really need to stop doing that. And he kicked everybody out. And he's like, nobody's like, dude, shut it. We're gonna go through your books. We're gonna price some of this stuff. And I still had a Avengers #2 in there, Amazing Spider-Man 300. They didn't even get everything. So imagine what they took when Avengers 2 and Amazing Spider-Man 300 was still in there. That's the stuff I had, and it hurts my soul to think about it. I don't know what I lost.
I know, and would have been around 2005, 2006, so it was still recovering from the first crash a little bit, and
right.
Like I remember at that time, I'm high for a Spidey 300. Mark, you're gonna flip when you hear this. The max for an Mint 98 was like about $100 to $200 at that point.
$30.
Okay, I'm gonna go get a DeLorean right now.
$30 that I sold. So that's how I know about the 300 because I found it, and we did a show with that same friend, John Hill, and I had it. I pulled it. I was like, dude, I found it. It's 300 first Venom, and I looked it up, and it was $30, high price, near mint. That's how much it was on the book. So I told him I want $30 for it, and he's like, okay. However, so I have, let's say it's 2005 Overstreet price guide, right? And I get it at the beginning of the year. Now this is the middle of summer. Now we found out that there's going to be a Spider-Man 3 coming out, and now this book is spiked, but I don't know, and it's not in the book because it's not updated. Yeah. So he sold it, and an hour later he sold it for $100. And he's like, dude, I sold that book for $100. I'm like, well, you asked me for it. I told you what to give me. I can't be mad. I gave you the price. And however, to this day, he tells me, we talk about it all the time, every time we run into each other. And I feel sick that I sold it to him for $30. And he feels sick that he sold it for $100 because he said it was a 9.8 all day. It was just a minty fresh copy of Amazing Spider-Man 300 that I sold for $30. Yeah.
I remember from like 96 to like 99 when the book was a $50 book. And I was buying them for like 20 to 25.
Yeah.
Just to see what it goes for now in any grade makes me.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah. And the sad thing is Denim, like our media has not been kind to Denim.
Yeah. It's weird. You would think. I thought that was. I was really looking forward to putting my, how do you say, myself in that position again back then. And we thought, man, this is gonna be it. They're bringing Venom. The possibilities are endless. If they work it, and somehow they screwed that up royally. And even the new one, people complain about it. I liked it obviously a lot more than the Tobey Maguire one, but the new Venom still didn't catch as much as I thought it would. It's such a cool character.
And like I said, I liked Tom Hardy's portrayal of it. Mark, what did you think of the Hardy as Venom?
Oh no, I liked it. From what I took from the Venom movie when I saw it, it's like I didn't really consider it a Spider-Man movie. So I guess from that perspective, I liked it more than
Right.
how Topher Grace did it.
Yeah, it's such a weird pick too. Topher Grace. I don't know.
That was his first movie role out from that 70s show too, which is weird.
Yeah, just off of that show.
Yeah, I mean, just get Kurtwood Smith to kick his ass.
Yeah. But yeah, I got a million of those where I let go. TMNT #1, I sold it for $50, and it was worth thousands of dollars at the time, and I knowingly gave it to somebody.
I've heard the story on the channel. I'd actually, like to hear your version of this. So you had it in one of the boxes, and you got it stickered at 50, or
no? I used to do. There was another person that I used to do conventions with, and he was a huge TMNT fan, and I had one copy of one, like 2 of 2, 1 of 3, and like 3 of 4. I had a bunch, all these 1, 2, 3, and 4, or was it maybe 1, 2, and 3? I can't remember, but I had all of those. First print took me forever to figure it out because there's a bunch of things that it could be counterfeit and all that, but it was the real thing. And he was always drooling over it, and every time that the whole time that I've been a comic book dealer, especially at that time, I wasn't, because I had already made the money that I was going to make on the store. So to me, it's like this thing cost me a 16th of a penny. I can't really get all too hung up on how much I'm going to get for it. And if you really want it, I don't care. I'll freaking give it to you, man. I don't care, especially at the time. So the guy's like drooling around. I'm like, you know what, man? Freaking take it. Give me $50. If you ever sell it, just give me half, and you can keep the other half. That's why I left it. It's fine. I came to Montana in 2011. And I was here for a few years, and we had to go back to Washington. So I start doing conventions again, and the guy won't even look at me when we go, which was stupid because he was a good friend of mine. And I don't even care if he would have come up to me and say, hey, dude, I sold that. I thought you were gone. I would be like, yeah, what are you going to do? But instead, I don't know. I lost a good friend over it. It was kind of dumb.
That sucks. I hear stories. That's sad when I hear those stories a lot in the industry. It's always sad.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't care that much about it. It's more like an amusing story at this point. I've never lost any sleep about it. You know what I mean? Over it. I just don't care. I'd rather, I've given, I don't know. I like hooking people up. I like making people happy. And if I spend, so Sandman is a perfect example. I've given away more Sandman books that I even know. If I'm spending the time, and this happens a lot in shows, I'll be standing there talking to somebody, explaining to them the Sandman universe, and their mind you can see it in their eyes. They're like, what are you talking about? Sounds so cool. And I have this. It cost me a 16th of a cent. Just take it, dude. Please read it. And if you ever see me, buy from me. If not, buy from somebody else. Get into comic books. It's really cool. It's not what you think. And that's how it used to be. I'll just give it away. I didn't care. And I'm good friends because of it. Because I'm not in it to try and make the top dollar for any one thing. I just want to be able to do it, make enough that my kids can eat, and that I can do what I want to do.
That's awesome sauce.
Yeah.
And I guess that this is like the one of the few businesses where you'll make one or two things, and if you're blessed, you'll make both. And that's friends and money.
Exactly. We're all in the same boat, man. We all love this thing, and we just happen to be able to make some scratch out of it. You know, we need to make a couple bucks and still be in this awesome hobby and read awesome literature. So very lucky.
So, how do you feel the market has changed from like 2005, 2006-ish?
Well, definitely prices are all over the place on books. Obviously, I think that since then,
Amazon, stop! Amazon, stop! Amazon, shut up! Yay!
It's usually our favorite guest of the show.
Yeah, we have a big gag about it.
Not a problem. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, the prices. Shoot, I had a point.
The prices were all over the map.
Right. Oh, especially since Marvel and the whole Marvel universe, and that changed. That helped our business quite a bit. That because it brought this geekdom to the masses, you know, and all these normies are now into it. Into this stuff that was like people looked at you crossways. So again, I started late, but I was still in my 20s, and people are looking at me weird that I'm walking around with, you know, what most people back then thought of, you know, little kids books. And so there was a stigma about it, and it wasn't like as it wasn't as prevalent as it is today. It was a different mentality. For that, I'm grateful for sure. More people are.
I look at it this way. You know, about 20 years ago, I would walk into a bank with a Captain America or a Superman shirt on, and people would look at me weird.
Right.
Today, it's just like, wow, you see that
cool
movie?
Shirt.
Now it's just like it's like okay. Where'd you get that cool Superman shirt?
Exactly. That's pretty awesome that we're in the times that we are, and there's so much content, so much stuff.
I think we're spoiled by it. I really think we're spoiled by some of it sometimes.
That's always that fear. Obviously, sure, people felt that back then too. That people are spoiled, and it's just that perception changes with what's going on in the world at the time. So yeah, that happens, and maybe we're definitely, like I said, we're definitely benefiting from the MCU being so popular. And granted, I am a giant DC man. I love me some Batman. I love Superman and anything in the DC world. I'm a giant fan of Vertigo. Just about everything that came out of Vertigo, I owned at one time or another. And to this day, I still collect it because I think someday they were going to wake up and realize how much good content Vertigo had. Not just Sandman and not just Preacher. There's so much more, man, in there and I pick every number one that I find. If it's a Vertigo, some random Vertigo comic series, I'll pick up number one.
I would love to see the Max do
the Max.
Good, I would like to see them do a really good Madame Xanadu miniseries.
Yes.
I just reread the Madame Xanadu Vertigo series. It's awesome.
Is that Matt Wagner?
Yep.
Yeah, I love Matt Wagner. He's one of my favorite, and Grendel, I think, is such an underrated book and underrated character. I think there is so much to be mined there. I actually talked to him, like, and I told him this. I'm like, why isn't it a movie? Why isn't it a TV show? This is so much better than half the Marvel Universe superheroes. Is this Grendel character? Great, rich story. And he said this is 3 years ago. He's like, and he smiles. He's like, there's something in the works. Just keep your eye out. It's something in the works. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I've been hearing rumors for the last couple of years myself in that department.
Yeah. So I've been picking up when I find them because they're hard to find, man. Those books are hard to find. So I have a whole box full of Grendel there that I guess I'm going to read them again.
Yeah. You see Secret Invasion yet?
No, I haven't. I've been in the middle of moving from Washington to Montana, and we did it the slow, dumb / smart way. And I moved my wife with like U-Haul and stuff and brought her to Montana. Then I went back to Washington. It's about an 8-hour ride each way. So I went back to Washington, did repairs. I would be there a week, get a load of stuff, drive it to Montana, stay here 3-4 days, drive back to Washington. I did that 5-6 times. And finally, our house is on the market in Washington, and I'm almost done. So I haven't had time to do anything other than move, try to, as much as I can, do my Whatnot shows. But it's really hard because it's not just doing the show. You got to prep stuff, and then you got to package it and ship it. And then you need supplies. You got to have all your stuff in one place. So it became a real hassle to try and do this because this move took like a month and a half, 2 months. Because
that's how long we've been communicating to try to set this up. So yeah, that sounds
exactly.
about right.
Exactly.
And you started moving when I because I'm back home with my parents at the moment. Well, when we started doing the house reservations in the kitchen, which is now almost totally finished too.
Yeah, it never ends, man. We worked so long on that house. We bought it in 2001, and just for the first time in 22 years, the house is done. And I'm not there to enjoy it. Like we had people like contractors like work on it and do all this stuff not all the stuff we wanted to do because there's a lot of stuff that we didn't get to do and we didn't do before we left. But definitely that you walk in there, it's like, yeah, this house is absolutely. There's nothing we can do to it. It's kind of sad because my kids grew up there. Tommy was there from age 10. And then my daughters were born and raised there, and so it's a new chapter for sure. But we are coming to a house that we already owned, and we've lived here already. Awesome. So it's not a huge thing that we left our house and we're in this strange place. It's like, no, this is our house. We just happen to. This is now our permanent thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm blessed.
Yeah. So how is Whatnot going for you? And why do you think Whatnot as lately has been getting the reaction and the drama that I've seen within the comic film?
I don't know about drama. I don't pay attention to any of that. All I look is what I do with it. I'm again fortunate that I am involved with people that like obviously my son, and I'm fortunate that I have that, and I have a decent following. It's touch and go. There's really good parts to it, and not a whole lot of it. In my view, is bad. It's all they're my own thing. You got to learn how to utilize this tool because it's just a tool, just a place for you to sell your comic books.
Yep.
It's how you use it, and the thing is though that it changes. So what you're doing today, that's working and kicking butt, a month from now might not be working. So you got to be able to move and do something different. And I've been doing it for 2 years now, and I really like it. And my goal at the beginning of this year was to crank it up. I would like to be able to be a person that's there every day that you'll find, oh, I'm gonna go to Comic Pop's show and hang out there and just do that on a daily basis, like maybe 4 or 5 times a week. I'm doing twice a week now, and it's all I can do, and I'm pushing myself to do the second one. All I can do with all this madness that's happening, with moving and all the other stuff, and finding my long lost family. I don't know if I talked to you about that. On top of all this, I found I was raised by my great aunt and uncle, and I found through Ancestry.com, I found out that I had a sister, a half sister. Yeah, and I got in contact with her while I was at New York Comic Con last year. I'm talking to her, and she's super cool, she's super sweet person, and we wanted to meet. So I actually had to fly back to New York and because in between March and September, I think that's when I found her. We both found the rest of our family, which we didn't know either. My mom's side of the family, we found them and the people that are left, which an aunt who's my mom's sister. So I wanted to meet her. So we flew to New York. I was born in Brooklyn, and my sister was raised in Brooklyn, and nobody ever left. They were all there. And so anyway, I got to meet my sister and my aunt. So all of this madness, trying to get all that together. And then when I got home from that, we started the moving process. It's been freaking insane. I'm just exhausted, and I'm just looking forward to this summer, and yeah, hang out and sling some books, man.
That's nice. You doing that? Are you guys going to be at any of the bigger shows this summer? Or?
San Diego Comic Con, I'm going to be at. Tommy is releasing his Crashdown book. I'm doing a variant cover with Kyle Willis.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really neat cover and a neat idea that he's been doing. And I've seen this stuff and it looks really good. I'm really looking forward to that. So we're going to release that stuff during San Diego Comic Con, which I was just realizing that it's like in a month, maybe.
Yeah, maybe I was tempted to call a buddy of mine who works for disabled services out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked at, I was like, you know what? At this point, I know I'm not going to get a good deal of. I know that I'm not going to be able to get a good deal in a hotel room, so I was like, I'll wait till next year.
Yeah, I have. Just last year, it just so happens that a good friend of mine from Buffalo, who had moved to Washington, and we got to hang out here and over there in Washington. He actually moved to San Diego. He's in Carlsbad, which is like a half-hour ride from where the convention happens. And so I talked to them, and hopefully, if worst comes to worst, I get to stay with my friends and hang out at the con. But I think I might be crashing with Ryan. I think. I'm not sure yet. I guess I should cement all this down because again, I was driving.
Fire guy, right?
I know that guy.
Why do you guys keep that punk around, yo?
I don't know, man.
You know, that pretty boy, Justin Bieber wannabe. But I'll explain. It's all a made up little feud between the two of us where I jokingly was talking to Key Collector about hanging out with him and Tom and those guys. And I was like, yeah, after the convention, I'll take you guys to the Go-Go bar and buy pizza. Except for Ryan. Ryan gets the crust.
And that's how it started.
Ryan's like, what the hell did I ever do to you? And I'm like, you're just a
I don't even know you. Yeah, and good stuff.
Like, he said LLL. And it was like one of those like jokes between the two of us that just never died.
Yeah. He's a good guy. I really like him. Every time we do a convention, there's always a time in those 3 days that we're both sitting around going, why don't we do something together? It's that because me and Ryan start talking till we won't stop for hours and we're just going and going. we have similar ways of thinking, and we just hit it off. And we're like, we should be recording all of this. This is so cool. We could be doing a podcast. We could be doing 3 different podcasts or whatever, shows or whatnot, of just me and him, which I want to do. I'm hoping once stuff settles down, I'm hoping to build a studio in behind our house to do my whatnot shows and possibly start my podcast again. I used to have a podcast called a GTFO podcast for a few years, and it kind of fizzled out. I started doing other stuff, and I would love to get back to that because I really enjoy doing that. Podcast is, and I have like a million stories from crazy life I've led, so it's always fun.
Nice. Mark, you have any questions for Comic Pops?
I guess more from musical, because I come from a musical background.
Okay.
My dad went on tour with like Johnny Winter. He was in a couple bands in New York. Just from like recording, like if recording stuff, like the difference between like doing Pro Tools now and then doing like recording on a track back then. What do you feel more comfortable with?
Well, it's one of my favorite, other than playing live in a tiny rinkety bar in a dive hole somewhere, which is my favorite thing to do. Recording is another, probably up there. Again, I had nothing to do with the recording. I just showed up, and I do like, I don't mind it as much that stuff like that changes and it's more digital now. It's just the way it is, and I don't feel one way or another about it. The only thing that I have issues with as a drummer is with electric drum sets. Not that I have anything against it. I just don't like playing them. That's my only thing. And people use them. And actually, that album that you guys listened to, the Ukla's versus Evil album, was done without a drummer. It's all, which actually sounds really good. But I can tell that it's not real drums. A lot of people, if you're not musically inclined and you don't have the ear for it, you don't hear. And also, they're not drummers, so they pick things that I wouldn't pick as a drummer. Just like this fill there sounds weird, or not. To other people will definitely don't. You know what I mean? It's not anything that your regular person picks up on. As somebody that arranges music and has to arrange music with them, you're like, I wouldn't have done it that way. I don't like it, but having said that, I did play that concert that I was telling you about in Windy City Comic-Con. That's what they had for me, was an electric set, and it was pretty okay. It was way better than I thought it would be. I still wish I had an acoustic set, but yeah, I'm actually thinking I might want to get one for practice, because I can play drums and not wake up the neighborhood, you know? So.
Oh, I've had those experiences because I do a lot of vocals, and sometimes doing it at a certain time, I get noise complaints. So
yeah, absolutely.
Because we're both from the New York City area. He's in the city. I'm in the process of moving back into the city. I'm at and when I'm looking for a place, I'm staying at my parents in Jersey.
Okay.
So I can see myself getting away with vocals because I'm up in the country and I'm technically the only house on the block.
Really?
Mark, how many noise complaints do you get at that point?
A couple. I actually had one recently because I tried doing a lot of covers of Alice in Chains.
My favorite grunge band. I think Lane Staley is the most underrated singer. I think he was way better than any of them, by far. And it makes me so sad listening to it because he projected what happened to him. He's been telling us, he told us for years what was going on in his head, and it's just cool music, man.
Yeah.
And he's a tortured soul, man. And I see that it's still today. I love listening to that because it's got this other level to it to me.
Actually, the song I used to come out to for my stand-up comedy set was always "Man in the Box."
Man of the Box, yeah, good stuff, man.
I feel more related every day to just listening to Dirt.
Dirt is amazing. Although I was just talking to my wife about this. I remember loving Dirt and listening to the crap out of it, but I remember the first time I heard track one of Jar of Flies is still like I can still remember what I felt like. I was looking forward to that album for so long, and they wouldn't do much, man. They did Dirt and they didn't do anything for a while, and then they put out this EP. I was there the day it came out, bought it, put it on my CD player, and just that sound is anytime I listen to it, I am 1996 or whatever it was in my little apartment in Buffalo, New York, listening to Alice in Chains and just being amazed that somebody sat down and imagined that beautiful music. It's just,
Yeah.
I absolutely love Alice in Chains.
I remember working in a record shop when that came out.
Yeah. I gotta get that. I recently got a cabinet stereo, like the old timey that looks like a piece of furniture.
Nice.
When I was a kid, that was my first stereo I ever owned, and it was so loud and it was awesome. And I mean, it's very impractical, but now I'm an old man and I don't care. And I wanted to get another one. I wanted to get one, so I recently bought one here in Spokane, Washington, and I'm starting to build up my vinyl collection. And I've gotten two. I got Back in Black. That's how I learned to play drums. I would play Back in Black from top to bottom. I just sit there. Actually, with Tommy, I would put Tommy. He would go down for a nap, and I would be in the other next room, and I would play a song. I would go Back in Black, play Back in Black, stop it, run into his room, and he's like, "It's okay." And to this day, a frigging parade can go through Tommy's bedroom while he's sleeping, and he will not wake up because of me. I got him used to being around. I was in a band. I'm like, we had to play. He would come to practice with us, and he would just sleep. We're freaking playing, and Tommy's asleep in the futon over there. He was part of the band, obviously, in that sense, and he got used to it. It was pretty cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
Why do you think the Comic Time YouTube channel grew the way it did?
I don't know. I think he was committed. He has a commitment that you have to have a successful YouTube channel. There's certain things you have to do. And that kid, for 3 years now, he has done what he does nonstop without taking a day off, without not doing it. That's not a choice. He's done those shows while he's sick, while he doesn't want to do it, while there's issues going on, whatever. He's doing it, and you have to be committed to doing it. So that's one thing. I think also the fact that comic books are reaching this pinnacle of exposure to everyone, and so I think people that got into the MCU or whatever are realizing now, oh, these are comic books. We can get into this. Oh, these are worth money. And he's telling you how much they are and how much hype for whatever is happening. I think
from day one, I always loved his energy.
Yeah, he's got energy for miles.
Yeah, it sounds like you could just, I don't know. A year ago, I just got back from a bone marrow test.
Oh, really?
I couldn't sleep the first night afterwards.
Oh.
Came home, I did a podcast because it was my night to podcast, and then I couldn't sleep, so I listened to old school Comic Tom, and it was like being with a friend, and the energy just like very contagious.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome. I've done a few, but I'm supposed to. It just didn't work out because there's a there's a schedule to these things, and there's time that that content is created, that content is scheduled, that content is recorded, that content is released. There's
Yep.
all these things that happen, and there's different shows, different podcasts, and we just never haven't gotten the chance to to bring me back. But we're supposed to start doing more stuff. I'm supposed to go to Washington in the next couple of months, and when I go there, we're hoping to record some stuff. So you should probably see me in the channel here pretty soon. We want to redo. I don't know if you've seen. There's a video in there of me talking about selling stuff on eBay with Tom.
Yeah.
So that's there, and we want to revisit that and do it in a better format. Also, just the story of of the comic book store and how we came up.
Yes.
and
Maybe
the
you can
things
also
with the-
have him and Golden Age Guru revisit killing fish in a fish tank to prove that the
Yeah.
CBC cases are waterproof.
That's right. That's right. I love that
Even
stuff.
though
man.
him and Jeff claim to this day that they didn't kill any fish, and until I see that with my own eyes, I still don't believe it.
I don't believe it. Them and the donkeys. Have you seen the donkeys at all?
No, I have not
heard
seen
of the donkeys? Yeah,
Yeah.
Jeff has donkeys. He's raised donkeys and horses, and we used to do claim sales on Instagram, and they would bring him in the house. And at one point, I didn't know this, and we're selling comic books on camera, and this donkey just walks in front of the camera, and people lost their minds. And they're like, what is happening? Why is there a donkey there? And it was like our thing. So yeah, so funny,
I think
I
the
miss
real
doing that.
question is, why isn't there a donkey there?
right? Exactly. That's really the question.
Yeah, so do you have any advice for people who are just starting to become comic book dealers? They see everything on Whatnot and YouTube, and they read sites like CBSI and be like, I could be a
Dealers?
collectible millionaire.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go back, and you probably have heard this if you listen to Tom's podcast. Is when I got that store. Weirdly enough, one of the first things I opened this box when all our comics in the whole store arrived to California. One of the
Mhm.
first things that I found in a box was a book called "So You Want to Be a Comic Book Retailer."
I haven't read that
And I'm like,
book
oh, this is
in
great.
5 years.
Yeah. So I opened it, and the first thing that it says is, don't do it. And then gives you the stats.
That's not even chapter 1. That's like the prologue to the book.
Yeah, the prologue. Yeah, it tells you. You open it. It's like, hey, buddy, turn around and get out of there.
It's like throw the book in the trash. Do not collect $200 from that stuff and go.
don't.
Get the F out.
Yeah, because it's a hard thing, and if you don't have the heart for it, you more than likely won't make it because you got to have passion for it, and you got to know. You have to research and read and do a bunch of stuff. And now these days, it's not just that I want to sell this, this comic book. Is I need to sell this comic book, and I got to reach you and a bunch more people. So you got Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all this other stuff. Am I going to sell it in a store? Am I going to sell it at a show? Am I selling it online? Am I doing all of those? Do I have a website? All of these things. What are you going to pick? Are you going to do all of them? Are you going to do one of them? That's the thing. You got to have a plan to what you're going to do, and you have to have books first. So that means you got to buy probably a collection of some sort, or start buying. If you're in a store, you start buying new books, and you eventually collect. I mean, you get stuck with metric ton of crap, but that's what
I'm dealing
happens.
with that right now.
I know. I've gone buy collections, and they're like, "Oh my god, I have so many books." I'm like, I know you do, but there's a couple of things about this. You have maybe 5 good books in the 1,000 that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I would buy. All I want is the 5, but I'm gonna buy them all. But you got to hook me up. So that's how it works.
My mindset is I buy anything and everything because my philosophy is you can't have too much of dollar books, $4 books. I mean,
Right.
make your money off the keys, but I'm also in the position I like to make. If I can sell a bunch of like normally $3 books for $1 to people, I'm happy. I like to give
Right.
comic books to people's hands.
Right. Yeah. Same here. That, like I said, I just want, and I really believe that is not just some thing. I would rather give you a book than sell it to you.
Yeah.
But if I could live and support myself, that's what I would just be giving stuff away all day long. It's so much more than that, than just making money. But it is hard to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not an easy thing to get into.
Do you think there's any secondary collectibles that may see a surge in collectability? I've been on eBay and I've seen this like insane prices for vintage T-shirts lately.
Oh, funny you say that. We're using Whatnot, and Tommy's killing it in Whatnot. So is Jeff and Jem Mint and all the guys from Whatnot Wednesday. Yet we are tiny compared to the secondhand market. I watch secondhand shows.
Amazon, stop! Amazon, shut up! All right.
Adam, I swear to God, we got to make this into a drinking game down the line.
We need to do shots when that happens, son.
Yeah.
That's how I fix that. Yeah. I forgot what I was saying again.
Regarding like the secondary market of Whatnot.
Oh, right. Yeah. The collectibles. Those secondhand shows, like people selling, bring out this T-shirt, freaking whatever. It says Spalding. And $100. I'm like, what are you doing? What is happening? And there's like 1,000 people in the room. And a good day, let's say Tom, he'll do between 300 and 500 people. Sometimes he'll go higher. I've seen him go to like 700 people. And a regular secondhand, some dude selling T-shirts and hoodies that he found at freaking Goodwill has 1,000 people in the room, and people are paying crazy. There's something in there for sure. I don't know it. I would love to get vinyl. That's what I would love to get, but it's so bulky and heavy.
Yeah, like I said, I just been looking to replace some of my high school T-shirt collection.
It's the way to do. You could do it, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just I look at some of the prices on some of the old school comic images and graffiti designs T-shirts, and I'm like, am I missing something here? Is there a reason why a Dark Phoenix T-shirt from like the early '90s is like a $300 shirt with stains?
Exactly. I know. I was looking for a Sandman, Neil Gaiman Sandman's Death T-shirt. And it was the one that I used to have. It's like, if I want to buy it, it's like $90 to get this, $15 shirt from back in the day. Yeah, it's insane, man. I wish I knew more, but I don't want to get.
I find it fascinating.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. I love it. I'm always one of my favorite things to do is to go on a nice estate sale or a garage sale or yard sale. And just find random stuff. I will pick random stuff that I usually sell. Like if I ever see SNES console and Super Nintendo games or stuff like that, I can't help myself. I have to buy them.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like money just laying there. I can't let that pass.
Yeah, I never get lucky at garage sales with old vintage video games, unfortunately.
Yeah, just got to keep looking. It's all about numbers, man. All about numbers. How many can you go to? You'll find one eventually, for sure.
Yeah, there's just enough people in my area that I think from the suburbs, more people in my parents' area would do garage sales on the weekends, but not really.
Yeah. I found I think it was 2 Nintendo systems and something like 40 something games, and I paid $200 for it, and I was happy. I made just that in just the consoles got me the money. And then I just sold the rest of the games little by little. I love that stuff, man. I love I love that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would love to buy. I would love to buy one just for memories and just hire somebody like, you're gonna be my seeing eye video game person.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. You know what I found? I felt so mad because I drove by the state sale, didn't go in, but on my way back home I did stop. And because I did that, I missed out on this. Sega used to have their own Game Boy thing. I can't remember what it's called. Something.
Yeah, I remember. I just don't remember the name of
The
it
Master
myself.
System?
What's it? I say again?
The Sega Master System?
Yeah, it's Sega something. I can't remember what it is, but it was a Game Boy basically, but it's huge. It looked more like a PSP. It was this huge thing. And I go to this estate sale, and there's like 4 of them in this case, and each case had 30 games in it. And I'm like, oh my God. And they have multiples of them. And I'm like, well, I'm buying this. And I grab it, and there's a lady standing right next to it. And I realized that this is the line, even though the lady's standing next to the wall. So it looked like they were just sitting there. But there's these ladies, she just put them down. She bought every single one of them right before me. I was sad. It made me sad. I'm not going to lie.
It's a Game Gear.
Game Gear. That's it. Game Gear.
Because I was thinking that and then the Atari Lynx, and I had those two confused.
So good, man. So good. Yeah, stuff like that. I can't pass it up. I have to buy it.
Yeah.
And I always find it just so happens that the people that buy comic books, a good percentage of them are the same people that would buy those. So.
Yeah, I've been seeing that with the one thing I've been killing it with lately, especially at conventions, is DVDs.
No kidding.
They made this comeback at the last 3 or 4 conventions from me, Mark?
Yeah, like especially the one last was it last holiday season where like
it was there. There
was like 10, 15 of them.
I went for an entire long box lid full of DVDs at a one-day convention in New York last year.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Well, a couple of them the cast members were right across from us doing signings.
Oh wow!
Help, but other people just were. I had Hanna-Barbera cartoon classics in the box. I had 2 copies, and they both went by the end of the day. I was like, okay.
Nice. Yeah, you never know, man. You never know. That's how I'm always.
Sorry, I'll try. I said maybe this is a fluke. So I said I'll try it again. And one of the things that saved me at a recent small one-day show that's monthly by us was people were going for my DVD bin, picking stuff out, and even to the point where a little kid is like, "You have any kiddie movies?" And we
tried.
Oh yeah, we tried with that.
They're all gone. I know. I did get a stack of Disney movies before Disney Plus, because some of those VHS tapes, those Disney, they never released those movies. So at one point you can find pretty pricey VHS tapes. Never did. They're in a bag somewhere in a cubby or somewhere. I never sold them.
I think my mom asked me, she goes, "Can you tell me if these Disney tapes are worth anything?" And I just never, she put them back up in the attic. We never got around to doing it.
Yeah, that's how it goes, man. They'll be there freaking 20 years from now. Yep. And somebody else will go, "Oh my God, look at these. I don't even know what they are."
It's like, wait a minute, they used to watch movies like this? What the heck?
What is happening? This is right after
they put a tape in a machine and hit a button.
All right, man. I got to split, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Oh, anytime, man.
And
if you want to have me on, just reach out to me.
And once again, I really want to say thank you for the music.
Oh, no problem.
The one thing that always puts a smile on my face, when I'm having a bad day is that song Viewmaster.
Thank you. That is that's one of all of our favorites. My favorite of that album, oh, is it? No, it might be the second album. My Secret Origin. It's
That
like
used to be one of my favorite. That used to be my favorite song until I discovered Super.
Viewmaster. Nice. We have a metal version of My Secret Origin. It's a B-side somewhere if you can find it. That's probably my favorite thing that I did with Ookla was re-recording My Secret Origin. It's like metal. It's hard and it hits a little different. If you're able to find it, I would highly recommend it.
I'll search it out.
Yeah.
But you have a
If
great
not,
night.
I'll see if I can find it. I'll send it to you.
Very cool. Like I said, you have a great night, and once again, thank you so much.
Thanks, man. All right, you guys take care and be good.
You ever in the city, drinks are on me.
All right, man. Sounds good. All right, you guys take care. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.
Well, brother, one more for the bad guys, eh?
No, we're the Michael Jackson bad guys.
You know, so that was awesome.
Oh God,
Comic pops, everyone.
I would just spend the whole night talking to him.
I
need sleep.
Hang on a second. Amazon, cancel all my alarms.
Canceling all your alarms.
As we actually went a half an hour over what I thought we were going to go originally.
Oh, it's totally worth it.
Oh yeah, just hear him talk about estate sales and you know the fact that I think I learned more about Comic Con than I really wanted to learn. It's just great.
Don't worry, your feud with Fire Guy Ryan is still intact. So at New York Comic Con, I want you, Fire Guy Ryan, go to the Whatnot booth, fight in the wrestling stage.
I actually try to set that up just for shits and giggles. Let's see. The question I had on the list that we didn't get to. If you could pick 3 books right now that you think would be top speculation, what would they be?
That's out now. I'm gonna say
it doesn't have to be current. It could be anything from the last 6 months to the last 20 years. It doesn't matter.
One book is Metalocalypse #1, just because of the trailer dropping. Second thing I'm gonna pick is the recent Marvel series Midnight Suns #5, just because of the Agatha Harkness show coming out. And Fantastic Four 186.
Okay, and once again, that's also Agatha Harkness.
Well, it's Salem 7.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. My pick is gonna be Secret Invasion #1, the blank cover, if you can find them unsketched, because that is the first blank that was ever done.
Shit.
And I really enjoyed, even though it doesn't follow the comics, I actually enjoyed Secret Invasion a lot. It's probably my favorite Marvel show since Loki.
You didn't like Moon Knight?
Fuck Moon Knight.
But it's Sienkiewicz Hospital.
I know, but still, the show confused the living hell out of me.
What, you didn't like Crocodile God? You didn't like Tower Rit?
Nope.
You failed me, sir. You have failed me.
Why
have you failed me?
Well, that's what I do, yo. Yeah, so it would be Secret Invasion, the blank, especially if you can find them not sketched, which I'm having problems doing now because the book is over 10 years old, so I think a majority of them have been sketched on by now.
I might know a couple people that might have.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that off air. Off air.
He knows John Cena. He buys books from John Cena. All right, I guess it's that time of the.
Is that time when we could just where can the audience find you online, buddy?
Calamity_collectibles on eBay. Calamity_collectibles on Instagram, spelled with an A. I will be trying the street vend tomorrow because kids
You know
are
it's gonna
fucking
rain.
sick.
You know it's gonna rain. We got a 75% chance of rain tomorrow.
No, I get 30% tomorrow.
All right.
Let me double check.
Yeah, I mean it was higher earlier. That's why. Unless it's changed in the last 4 or 5 hours.
And I'll cross the bridge when I come to it. If it ain't raining, I'm setting up.
Yeah,
Hustling.
I'm gonna do something really, really, really old school. I'm gonna look out my window, and if it's not raining, I'm gonna go do some things. If it is raining, I'm gonna stay in the house and still do some things.
So you're gonna go in the rain, play the song "Happy Together" by the Turtles.
I said, play what?
You never listen to "Happy Together"?
Hang on a second. Amazon, play Happy Together. Amazon, play Happy Together.
Happy Together Remastered by the Turtles on Amazon Music.
How do you not know that song?
Oh, never mind. Amazon, stop. I just didn't know it was done by the Turtles. That's all.
I just said it was done by the Turtles.
Yeah, I had to put like a sound image in my head to know what you're talking about.
Boo!
As always, you can find me on Instagram at @TheRealBlindAdam, eBay /BlindAdam. I am going to be putting stuff up on there the first time in a year in the next 2 weeks. Whatnot /Comic Pimp VIP, Twitter at the Comic Pimp, YouTube at Awesome Sauce Radio. Yes, this episode was pre-recorded. We go back to doing live episodes after July 5th because we're on vacation. Watch last Tuesday's episode when I explain everything what happened to YouTube. Just, there was a couple snags. And once again, thanks to Comic Pops, Google Comic Pops. Check them out. Also, check out the Comic Tom 101 Whatnot, YouTube, and eBay. Love you, Comic Tom. I thank you for everything you've done for the Awesome Sauce Radio Show, especially back in the early days. And remember, you don't need sight to have a vision. It's not what happens to you, it's what you do about it. Blind Adam out.
Waka waka!
Stream up. Edit button and recording button. Enter dialogue. Not yet, but end recording.